This is Nicodemus on June 28th, 2024. And on this episode, I just wanted to talk about the debate last night that was with Biden and Trump. Um, and just like, what are we supposed to do when we have our leaders showing up like this? I feel confused. There's a lot of hope that, I'm hoping that our country can turn it around. And then there's fear coming up of like what could happen if, you know, this election turns out crazy. So I guess, yeah, my question is just like, what do you do with all this uncertainty?
Yeah, it's 2024. So, I mean, if I ask somebody, how many of you feel like there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, probably everybody would raise their hand at this point, you know? And it really begs that question of like, what do we do with this? A lot of people are challenged with the chaos that they see out there. A lot of people are coming to grips in terms with being lied to. It really seems like about everything. So even when you watch the debate last night, what you start to realize is a lot of it seems to be like a theater or a show. So even who's pulling the strings, it's like really difficult to figure out uh, who's pulling the strings. And I think if we start with this understanding of the way the ego operates in the world, the ego operates on lies. And the ego operates on greed. And the ego operates on more is better for me, and it matters for me or mine, my family, or even my country. You start to realize that this divide and this split that you see showing up in the world is really indicative of the split that's going on in each of us. And the split that's going on in each of us is what appears to be a conflict between the ego and spirit, between the ego and our higher self. The Course in Miracles says the symbols of love versus hate, or if we want to say good versus evil, play out a conflict that doesn't actually exist. So the chaos that we're all seeing is only a result of the chaos that shows up and the war that shows up within each of us. Now, okay, you go, well, yeah, great. What does that tell me about when I watch the debate? Well, there's two things. First off, whatever your reaction is, a lot of people felt frustration. A lot of people felt shock. A lot of people felt like this is the best that we can do. Just a lot of emotions came up for people. So a couple key important points is first, I'm never upset for the reason I think. I think if we can always remember that lesson, I'm never upset for the reason I think, that starts to not have me looking over here like I'm upset because of what Trump said or what Biden said or what the politicians are doing or the wars and all that. Yes, we see all of that. What I'm upset about, though, is not that. What I'm upset about deep down is this idea that somehow I separated from the all, from source, which has left me in a state that I feel abandoned, I feel scarce, I feel vulnerable to a world out there that seems like it's always trying to constantly rob me of my peace. When you understand, though, that the world is built on this insanity, you stop taking it so serious. So the first thing is I'm never upset for the reason I think. And the second lesson I would say is I could choose to see peace instead of this. So no matter what's occurring out there, when you start to realize that none of it can threaten you, that none of it could take away your peace, that none of it has any type of threat that you need to make an appropriate defense against because of fear of future pain or a fear of like past wounds showing up again. When we heal all of that, everything you start to see, it's like you watched a debate last night and it's really two sides of the same bird, if you will, all being pulled by people who are, let's just call it what it is, a world that's built on greed, a world that's built on deceit, a world that's built on trying to take power for a select few, and to ultimately to reign dominion over the world. That's actually what the ego is constantly attempting to do. So that you and I see that playing out in the world is actually no surprise at all. If you're surprised, then maybe it's coming from that we're not really aware of the way the ego operates in the world, which is very important to start to learn how the ego does operate, because It's like a thief in your presence. We're tired of getting robbed. So when I see those things, any reaction that comes up in me, it's my job to mind that and handle that and clear that and know that it's not really about anyone that I see on TV or the president. In reality, we don't even see them or know them. We only see pictures and what's given to us and ideas of them and what the media tells us all this. We have no idea what they're like in their own life day to day. We don't know them in that way. And yet we act like we do, and we react like we do to the pictures in my mind. We get to be responsible for the picture that we project out into the world, and anything that is not love or peace or of the teaching of God, of spirit, it's up to us then to correct that. Now, that doesn't mean that we're doormats in the world or that we go like everyone should just love. And that's, I mean, obviously there's some really important decisions that need to be made on the planet right now. And we start to understand that God is the one, higher self, spirit is the one that's driving the bus, is the captain of the ship, if you will. And that ultimately all things are working together for good in the end. And it's up to us to continually come back to that and lead with love and freedom and abundance, with what's right and right-minded and what generates a win-win for the whole world. It's up to us to live that in our relationships, in our day-to-day life, to be that example rather than expect leaders and the puppet show that this world really is when built on the ego. Rather than hoping that they're going to do it, it's up to you and I to do it every moment of every day in our life with the people that we love, with the things that we love, and the things that we stand